Killer Instinct success, AtGames Killer Instinct fail, NeoGeo Super Pockets basic fun, and did Arcade1up lose Mortal Kombat and Golden Tee? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Another episode of This Week, the show where we talk about what happened this week in home arcades. Episode 190, so close to that episode 200. I'm excited. Can't wait to have a awesome show, an awesome party for that show. But that's not today. That's not now. You're looking at now. That's in the future. That's some other time. We're not talking about that. We're talking about what's going on because, guys, listen, I have been out for just a little bit. I think we missed about 3 weeks in a row. I had vacation come up. I had to travel for work on weekends. As you can see, got a little bit of sun. A lot of stuff going on. So when you leave out of town, you come back, sometimes there's a disaster waiting for you. We had a tree down in the backyard. So that was all part of the fun. So July 4th, while some of you were kicking off your vacation or your holiday weekend, I was cutting up a tree in the backyard. Yeah, lots of fun. But we got that done. It's super, super hot here in Kentucky, at least for Kentucky, about 94, 95 degrees. I'm in the Cincinnati area, so the very northern tip of Kentucky. So it's pretty hot. We're not quite accustomed to these types of temperatures. So let me know in the comment section what's going on in your neck of the woods. How hot is it there? I did want to say briefly, I want to mention what's going on down in Texas. The flooding is pretty devastating. There's some loss of life. It's horrible. If you haven't read into it, you haven't seen anything about it, check into it. Take some time to look into that and maybe say a little prayer and see where you can help if you can donate if that's possible. If I had a link, I would definitely share it. But it's just kind of late breaking going on. Just finding out about this yesterday and today. So it's crazy. Summertime is crazy. Floods, extreme heat, so everybody be careful out there. But what I found, a good way to beat the heat is to hydrate. Tonight we're hydrating with Jefferson's. This is the bourbon of choice. You can see the bottle is almost gone. Let me know in the comment in the chat right now what you're drinking on tonight. And man, like I said, I had a tree down, but it was 3 days off. It was we traveled Monday because the weekend prior I was in Seattle, which was great. If you're a fan of the channel, if you're paying attention to what was going on the channel, did a couple videos about, I think just one video, but the Space Needle, never been there before. So that was kind of cool. Check that out. It's a little video tour. Got to spend time with the family, my son, his family, stationed out there in beautiful Seattle. Was not quite ready for, wasn't quite prepared for the beauty that I saw. Trees, massive, massive trees. So if you're from that area, you should, trust me, be grateful for the trees that you got. Hold those trees close if you can get your arms around them because they're pretty massive. So yeah, I'm drinking Jefferson's tonight. And tonight we got something that we always got over there. I think it's right there. Yeah, over there in the live chat. There's a poll question. Tonight, it's no different. This week, we're talking about it. Pretty much a simple question. This is going to end up being kind of a recap show. I want to talk to everybody about kind of a lot of stuff that I've missed. I haven't had a chance to comment on yet. And so the poll is kind of in the same vein. Tonight, the question is, what has been your favorite home arcade news this summer? This summer, June/July. We're kind of just into July. Not much going on, so I wanted to focus on things that were actually announced, /released. You got 4 options. GRS being fully funded. Okay, that's an option. Basic Fun Arcade Classics. If you're not sure what we're talking about, we'll get into that. Not really, haven't seen any 3/4 scale in Walmarts as of yet. 3 is Mortal Kombat and Golden Tee collections, those being released on consoles. We're going to talk about that later on in the show, but that's kind of exciting for some of you who maybe couldn't get in on some of the Arcade1up cabinets. Maybe you didn't want to. Maybe it's a little bit too pricey. This is definitely something that I think that this is signaling a tide is turning. We'll talk about that just a little bit later. And then lastly, Killer Instinct and Battletoads on the 4KP. It actually released. It came out to, I guess, a lot of hype. You know, there was a bit of a delay there. If you got the rare pack, you only got one of the games, one of the tables out of the 3. It's kind of weird. But these 2 were cooking, right? They were in the back. Battletoads and Killer Instinct were in the back. They were cooking them up because they were going to be extra special. Did they turn out to be extra special? We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show also. But those are your 4 options. If you wanted to add something to the poll, you can throw that in the live chat. Also, watching this on the replay, comment, and let me know, hey, Fox, what about this? What about that? Didn't cover it. I understand. A lot going on. So yeah, definitely take the time. 34 votes so far. Jump in the poll. Vote. I want your voice to be heard. Man, I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back with all you. So before we get started, let's have a little sip. Cheers as we bid a fond adieu to another 4th of July weekend. It's a lot of fun. Sunburns galore for sure. Okay, so I talked about the poll question. I talked about what I'm drinking. Now let's talk to you, the people in the chat, the coveted first 10 comments. Let's see who made the cut this week. And it's no surprise it was probably about 9 minutes after I posted the live stream. Game Broker 84 coming in clutch, always in the top, well, usually in the top 10 or very close. This time you came in the number 1 spot. Hi, Fox. Happy Sunday. Can't wait for the show tonight. Hope you and your family had a great 4th. They absolutely did. I hope the same thing for you, buddy. Hope you made the most of it. Enjoyed the family that you got to spend time with because, you know, not everybody has time to spend time with family, especially with her scattered all over the country like mine are. It's a shame when I can't see everybody, but making a special trip out to Seattle was awesome. It was a ton of fun. My grandkids are nuts, just like me. Coming in number 2 spot is Shogeko. What's going on, brother Fox? Been a bit. Yeah, I need to get my fix in with my Miller Lite in hand. Absolutely. Drink up, my brother. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that I'm here. So glad to be back for sure. As a side note, one of the things that is also back in my store is the Kai Fighter shirt. It had to go through a couple different designs over at the old store. This design was actually rejected. Didn't work out. I had to change it. But the old design is back. If you want to check this design out, head on over to my new store. Link will be in the description. And check it out. Get one for yourself. They fit nice. This is the cheapest version. This is the classic cut, and it actually fits snug on the shoulders and arms. So it's not bad. It feels more like an athletic cut. Check it out. Like I'm going to check out the number 3 spot. The number 3 comment is Frank D says, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here as always. And thanks for welcoming me back. I appreciate it. Coming in the number 4 spot is Milkman Classic. What's up, Fox? On the way to the Outer Banks for a few, but wanted to take a few and say happy Sunday, brother. Enjoy your time in the Outer Banks, brother. Kick back, relax with something very cold and very refreshing. Coming in the number 5 spot is my Road Blasters brother. My Road Blasters brother, Bowler Medic, is in the house. What's going on? Welcome back, 19K. Hope all is well. And Shogeko Miller Lite in hand here as well. Great choice as always. Coming in the number 6 spot is my X-Men brother. What's going on, Israel Gaming? Good to see you as always. You were definitely missed, 19K Fox. Welcome back, brother. Hope you had an awesome vacation holiday. I did. Did something just fall? I thought I heard something. You know, when you have a room full of arcades and you hear a pop, you want to make sure nothing exploded. I don't think it did. I think maybe it might have been something upstairs. Something fell on the floor up there. Not sure. But thank you so much for welcoming me back, man. I appreciate it. I hope you're still enjoying your X-Men arcade cabinet. Coming in the number 7 spot is Arcade Dave. Sunday nights have not been the same without you, without 19K Fox. Glad you got to enjoy some family vacation time. As always, looking forward to the conversation this evening. Welcome back. Thank you, sir. We got a lot to discuss. You're right. I haven't gone for quite some time. Sliding into the number 8 spot is Kevin V. Clausen. My mouth waters when I smell steak. I wonder if the same happens for vegans when I mow the lawn. I guess it's possible. Bit disturbing, but it's definitely possible for sure. It's like I said, we're gonna have to think about that one for quite some time, mull that over, and worry if we're not maybe reading too much into it. I don't know that vegans salivate over anything. God bless you if you're a vegan, but what's wrong with you? Steak is delicious. It's wonderful. It's delightful. It's soothing to the soul, just like a gifted membership from Kevin Clausen. Thank you so much for gifting memberships all over the place. Here's another one, man. Thank you so much. I do appreciate the gift as always. Got to blow you up. I got to give you something a little bit special. Click over here. The buttons are all over the place. And thank you so much for the gift. Somebody else is getting the gift. So they're going to receive something. You're going to receive something. You're going to receive a trip, all expenses paid, to the pit.
Finish him. Molina wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
Just walk that off, buddy. Walk it off. You'll be fine. Coming in number 8 spot is JR. What's going on? Hey, everyone. Good to see you as always. And my brother Bob is sliding into the coveted number 10 spot. Whoa, I just dropped the pin. I was so excited to see Bob. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. I hope you're doing really, really, really well. And I've got to message you about a development. Let me grab my pen. A development with our little side project. I had some success. So we'll talk about that just a little bit later. Other people are in the live chat. We got JJ. We got Video Game Vegas. We got Mike Hawkerts, always here. Appreciate you, man. Dark Empire, Mr. Clutch coming in. Clutch, as always. Jason, the little alien, modern like a mofo. Gino, 7823, Iffy. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Brooklyn, not so much of a menace. He's here as well. Dan Z, CB Fluid, Meatball, still saucy, still wonderful, still meaty. Good evening, all. I hope you are enjoying the end of your weekend. Yeah, well, it's all coming to an end, buddy. Jim, the Pacers fan. Come here, Leon. Leon? What's going on? Miss G, Tammy is here. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, and hope you all are having a good weekend. As are you. The Real Zim is also here. We got MSU Rich. What's going on, buddy? We got Head Shake TV. Not sure what's going on. Just back there shaking his head. Gramps Arcade. What's going on, buddy? JJ is here as well. Let me see. Hey, at 19K Fox, it's cooler. It's cooler here than in Cincinnati. The flooding in Central Texas and the Hill Country has been biblical in proportions, just devastating, and the loss of life has been unbelievable. It's been absolutely tragic hearing about some of the loss in Texas. My prayers go out to you. Obviously, anybody in the chat, like I said, give us some thought, give us some prayers, and if you have the opportunity to reach out where you can, it's just kind of late breaking, crazy to hear the stories of how fast this flooding has happened. It's just been, like I said, it's absolutely devastating. I'm hearing some stories from my family down in Texas. Praise God, they're okay. But absolutely devastating. So we get to talk about silly stuff like arcades, but there's some real tragedy going on all over the country, seems like. And I just want to keep those people in our thoughts and prayers for sure. Thumper Squid is also here. We got, hey, James, who's mildly annoyed at some things. He's also here. Good to see you, James, as always. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Great to see you. I know you were a little, you're a little excited about the NeoGeo handheld. I reviewed it, buddy, and you're going to have a chance to win it next week. Let me go ahead and let's say hi to a couple more people, then I'll talk about the giveaway that we're going to do in just a second. Soul Planet. Okay. Hayden Do. Can we host the Arcade1up funeral soon? It's time. We moved on. Yes, we can. Absolutely. You know what? That could be a special episode for sure of the actual, because I think this is rough. But no, I was going to talk about your little icon there, Soul Planet. So when I got my Dynamo HS5 that I put Raiden in, I've since sold that cabinet. It came with the Soul Planet game in it, and I've still got the board and the controls. So if you're interested, Hayden Do, send me an email and I can send you that stuff because I'm not doing anything with it, but that's cool. So I get the reference, and it's actually a fun game. It's very simplistic. There's no buttons. It's really just a joystick back and forth, but it's a fun game. I like it. SFC Trekkie, what's going on, man? Great to see you as always. It's a lot of O's. There's a lot of O's in that name. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave that be. What it did done do, 19K. How was your holiday? Very good, man. Thank you so much for being here and stumping me with your name there. OG, we're going to move on to an easier one, A2D2. As always, it is a pleasure to see you in the chat. Always great to see you, A2D2. Thank you so much for being here. So let's go ahead and before we get into the topics, I did want to talk about, I did a YouTube short earlier today. It's linkable. So we'll keep that in mind. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that would make sense, right? The game being linkable. I wonder how many players you got. I think there's 4 selectable players. Linkable. Let me know. Let me know, man. I would love to see those boards go to a good home. Hey, AWOL 103, 101. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you as always. As you were. Ojib Owa. Oh, it's not that bad. Maybe I was reading too much into it. I don't know. Okay, so next week. So I did the YouTube short. I said, hey, everybody check out this show so I can talk to you about more details about the giveaway. It's my first week back. I didn't think we were going to have a ton of people in this show because it's 4th of July weekend, and I get it. So what I want to do, these are the 2 review units that were sent to me by Blaze Entertainment. Obviously, the boxes have been opened. I have played them a little bit, but there's no scratches on the devices, nothing like that. They're in really good shape. I included the original packaging, just put it all back in the box. What I want to do is next week, this week, episode 191. So this is episode 190. Next Sunday, what I want to do is do a giveaway for both of these during that show. So hang out with me tonight. Obviously, don't go anywhere. But next week, we're going to do a giveaway of these 2 devices. I'm kind of hoping that my other devices will be here next week. That'd be really cool to kind of do those videos. But I've got an AES, the standard edition. I've got one coming with the actual case. That Fun Stock, I don't know why they didn't just do a bunch of black cases for these little super pockets, but they didn't do a lot of them. They sell out almost within minutes every time they're up for pre-order. So I've got one of these with a black case, and then I've got the limited edition MBS colored version with a case. So those are coming. So I just don't need these. I just don't need them. I don't need this one. And I'm not a giant fan of Data East. So I want to give them a good home. So next week, jump on this channel. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and smash the subscribe button. Get the notifications, all that good stuff. We'll be giving those away next Sunday. Same bad time, same bad channel. Okay, David G, what's going on, buddy? Always good to see you. Trying to squeeze the last. Let's all laugh at this together, everybody. He's trying to squeeze the last butt of the weekend out of it. How many of you had, brother? Has it been a long weekend, James? Oh, that is good. Oh, Brooklyn. Hey, what's going on, man? All my Fun Stock orders are on the way. So far, nobody has needed to go to the post office to pay an extra fee. And that's important. I want to talk about that maybe later on in the show. But yeah, so as part of my review of my units that are coming in, I pre-ordered mine before the tariffs took effect. So then we got those emails talking about you got to go to the post office and pay an extra fee. That's going to be part of the discussion so that you know exactly what's going on as far as what my experience has been. Is it going to get to the post office and I'm going to get a call or an email and somebody's going to say, hey, you got to pay $4 or $5, whatever? I don't really know. Is there going to be sort of a slip in the mailbox? I don't know how that's going to go, but I will include that for sure. Absolutely. So definitely going to be part of that process. Thank you. I love to be caught live. Read into that what you will. Okay. No, man, it's good. Listen, I got it for free. I think it makes sense to give that away, right? That makes all the sense in the world, dude. Seriously, I think that's what everybody should do. It's fun to get these things from people, from companies, but yeah, just pay it right back and give it away. Okay, so we're talking about a lot of stuff tonight. I got to get caught up. I'm a little bit sunburnt, but I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. Everybody go ahead, take the time, vote in the poll. I want to know what everybody's thinking as far as what news has kind of got them jazzed so far. Get your drink in your hand. Let's go into the first topic. Kickstart my heart. Kickstarter my heart? Yeah, we've got some Kickstarter success. It's been great. So really just 2 Kickstarters I want to talk about, and I want to get everybody's opinion on these 2. Let me know what you... No judgment here, my friend. No judgment. So we got 2 giant successes, in my opinion. One I pretty much knew was going to get funded. You know, the plug and play Time Crisis game was, the price point was so low. I kind of figured that was going to work out. That was not going to be, not a big stretch for sure. But with GRS having a bigger product with a bigger price tag, yeah, I was a little concerned. A little concerned. Give me just 1 second. I got to do something here. Let me change. There we go. Let's bring back a classic. There we go. The background. Yeah. We'll bring back a classic because I forgot to put the other one on. It's fine. So we got two Kickstarters here. Like I said, one, I was pretty sure was going to be a no-brainer because the price point was so low. But the GRS, we didn't know. We talked about the hype. It's been going and going and going. We've been pushing it like, hey, listen, we're trying to support our community member. He's coming out very, very ambitious and aggressive. Lots of options, big price tag. And yes, the thing was fully funded in minutes. It was awesome. So let's talk about the first one real quick. Let's talk about the game GAIME. This is supposed to be, from what I'm hearing, a much more precise version of like the Send and Light gun technology. Much more precise, much more accurate. And this thing is really, I mean, this thing also fully funded within minutes, but has just surpassed and gone crazy. And it's likely because it's just that lower price point. But still, a ton of backers coming in anywhere from about, I think it's like $90, the lowest point, all the way up to like $200, depending on which one you get, which version you get. There's a version that just comes with a gun and the box, and that's really it, right? And there's another version that comes with one gun, one box, and then the foot pedal that you can actually step on for Time Crisis to cover and uncover instead of just worrying about pushing the button on the gun. And then there's the pack with two guns and all that. So it gets a little bit more expensive. There is versions for English, which is going to be the blue gun. If you want to get the black gun, you're going to be stuck getting the Japanese version, which that kind of, I don't like that. We kind of get stuck with the blue version. I guess it's fine. It doesn't really matter. It is what it is. But this thing is, I mean, just boom, like funded to hell and gone. 47 days left. Their original goal was $48,000. There are now, I mean, as of the time that I clipped this, which was this morning, $624,000. So it's incredible. I think the percentage is what? Yeah, 1,288% funded. So we're pretty good here. So that's good. So congratulations to that. That was exciting because that is something that's going to be an official product. It's officially licensed. So, I mean, that's really good. The fact that it's going to be a better technology than Senden, which is already a pretty good technology, but you're going to be limited as far as how close you can get to the screen. You're going to kind of be stuck with that white border around your image, which isn't terrible. I mean, I really haven't minded it on some of the games that I've played. Obviously, it's going to be on my T2 cabinet. I'm not having a problem with that at all, so it's fine. But anything that can improve that is that much better. And, of course, the potential here for other companies to get in on this. And you see the trend. You see with like Mortal Kombat and Golden Tee, we'll talk about that a little bit later, these classic collections coming back out, especially with light guns. They've been sort of underrepresented with the exception of like the Wii and then the Switch. It's just been it's not been the best experience when you're talking about light gun games and recreating that experience. If this thing takes off and you can get a set-top box for $100 with great games, with a great gun technology, I think the sky's the limit as far as the amount of publishers, companies that are going to get in on this. So listen, if this takes off and Sega gets involved and Sega decides, hey, we want to milk our franchises also. I mean, come on. They had some of the greatest, if not the greatest shooters in arcades. I mean, the list just goes on and on. I mean, you got New York Gunblade, you got LA Machine Guns, you got not Time Crisis, but you got Virtua Cop, House of the Dead. I mean, come on. It would be awesome. I mean, think about it. And these games can be run on pretty simple hardware. So it's not going to be some complicated PCB to kind of run all this. You're not going to have some mini PC to run these games. And if you can have something purpose built for that, it would be incredible. Absolutely be incredible. Would you back a CRT reproduction Kickstarter? Ooh, that would be interesting. Man, I don't know. I guess if you're talking about a company that's going to like manufacture new tubes, I think that the boards themselves, the chassis could be, you could simplify that technology, with updated electronics and probably make that much better. But you can't get away from the tube, the old cathode tube, right? You can't get away from that. If you really want to do a CRT correct, they would have to do that. And then, of course, price points being what they are. I'd be interested in CRT replacements for arcades, but I don't know. I think it has a specific purpose for like retro gaming. I've got a CRT right here. I've got CRTs in most of my arcade cabinets. I've got a few LCD replacements. I would be very interested to see for sure. I would be very interested, but I think there's still enough CRTs out there to where I don't think the demand is quite there that the Kickstarter itself would be successful. I would have my doubts because I'm sure the price point would be kind of high. Interesting question. And if you're talking specifically about arcades, yeah, I think that I would probably I would be interested in that. But you've got LCD replacements at the 4:3 aspect ratio, 26-inch, that are $300. Are we going to see a CRT, a replacement arcade CRT at $300, or just a one in a box you put on your entertainment center and play that way? Can it be sub 300? That would be interesting. I don't know if they could do it, but it would be interesting. I'm interested in the possibility of adding more light gun games. And that's always the thing, right? There's always the hack. Is it possible? I mean, I think so. I mean, given enough time, somebody's going to take this and hack it and play, and it's just going to happen. Those things are out there. And I'm very, very interested in that myself. But it would also be nice to support the companies that come out. I mean, like legit get these things licensed and get the buy-in from the companies like Sega to really come in and really make these things legit and have a really good, and then, continue to support. This is how we show our desire for these things. Give us an opportunity to buy a real licensed product and see if the fans show up, because I think that they will. I was about three. That's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of where I'm at. It's not about not wanting it. It's about, would it be feasible? And $300 and up, I just don't know that it is. $300 is kind of a tough pill to swallow right now. I think there's enough tubes out there where people are trying to cherish them as much as possible. And you can rebuild the chassis, and chassis have been remanufactured as far as the boards have been rebuilt. But it's the tube you can't get away from. You've got to rebuild it. You get to remake the tubes, and we know they'll last for a long time. So even if they remade the tube exactly the way it was in the 80s and 90s, because like I said, some of these are still rocking and doing great. I mean, I've got a 19-inch in my Road Blasters. I've had to swap it out with another 19-inch, but it's still working. So those games are still out there. Those tubes are still out there. So I think that if you built it, it would definitely last for a long time. But what would the price be? Low run, obviously. High cost, I'm not sure. I think that there is a niche market that would want it. And, is the question, am I willing to pay, if it's a very niche product, if it's $400 for like a 19-inch, or let's say it's $300 for a 19-inch CRT replica, like a new tube, updated board, doesn't run as hot and all this good stuff. Am I willing to pay $300 for that? Or if I need to go bigger, am I going to be willing to pay more? I don't know. It's a great conversation. It's a good, interesting conversation. Can the technology, can an LCD monitor, can an LCD, a bendable display, could that be arced or folded or curved to mimic that? And would that scratch the itch for the CRT enthusiasts? Because a lot of these, like with my Crazy Taxi and with this Toshiba right next to me, it's a CRT, but it's a flat CRT. It doesn't have the big bulbous curve on the front. So if this tube were to die and I just put an LCD in it, I'm not going to notice much. Obviously, the scan lines was going to be a thing, right? But as far as the physical appearance, the depth, I'm not going to really miss that. So it depends on the application. I think some of the older games, like the Road Blasters, I don't want to put an LCD in there unless there's just no option, because it's very much a part of that old 80s cabinet. And I want to maintain that. Same thing with the Astro City. That big bulbous screen is right there in your face. There's no cover over that. So I would want that to maintain the integrity of that. But with this one, you're talking about like a 27, like 28 inch. I think it's actually a 29 inch, tube. But it's a great conversation. I would love to see someone explore. I would love to see someone build a prototype and get pricing and then float the idea and just see. That's the good thing about a Kickstarter. You can judge the demand and then go from there. CRTs are the best for light gun games, in my opinion. Sinden, not as good. It's a different technology for sure. Absolutely different. Is this new technology going to be better than Sinden? I have to wait and see. I did back this. at the, I just got the one player premium. So I think it was $120, I think, after tax and all that stuff. It's the denomination is a little bit weird because this is in Japan, so they're doing it in yen, and the conversion isn't exact for US dollars. But I think it was about $120, all said and done. I got the premium, which is just the one player, and it includes the pedal. So, there's that. I didn't get in on the early bird stuff, but it is what it is, right? Used like $250. The prototype would cost a lot for the chance. That's the risk you run with a new technology or trying to remake old technology. Just because it existed before doesn't mean we can make it to the same quality standards. Because a lot of that stuff, some of that stuff they didn't write down. Now I think CRT is a little bit different. They were mass produced everywhere, so I'm sure that technology, is probably well documented. But some things that were done back in the day weren't necessarily written down, so or well documented. Some of these things, some of these techniques also for building, but manufacturing the tubes. Some of those technologies can also be lost. I've seen that happen in some of my industries I've worked in, where you just take it for granted that the part for this thing is going to be the same part. But when another company comes in and takes it and takes over, right? Sometimes the jig that Joe was using to make that part on the bench is now lost because in the shuffle it was just thrown away. And nobody except Joe knew about that. Now that's obviously a very small example. And this is going to be, manufacturers of tube TVs and CRTs were all over the map, and they did it for decades. But it is possible that some of these things could be lost in time. It's very possible for sure. Yeah, a Sega version would, dude. And imagine if you can get it in different guns. So you've got the Uzis from from House of Dead 4, I think or 3 had the Uzis, but then you can also have the mini guns, with the 2 pistol grips, from the different. It would just be so much fun, and you could have the actual pistols from Virtua Cop. I mean, it's just you could the heavy machine guns from Gunblade, New York Gunblade, those big bad boys. If that was an option to get different guns, if they were swappable, I mean, that could be like an upcharge. You could get the base package with just the regular pistol, right? But then you could also, for an additional fee, go ahead and get this one over here, and it would come with like a package, so you could plug in the correct gun for the correct game you're playing, so it feels more authentic. You could absolutely nickel and dime people to death, and some people would pay that. Some people would pay that for sure. 65-inch tube TV, that would be insane. That'd be absolutely insane. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely insane. Accessorizes. That's right. You'd buy some of them. I'd probably buy them all for sure. Knowledge got lost sometimes. Now, I'm not saying in this case that's necessarily what's going to happen as far as CRTs and recreation. But Calvin, I mean, if you work with your hands, you know where I'm coming from, right? Some of this stuff is, there's that's why they call them craftsmen or skilled tradesmen, is that some of this stuff is done by feel and it's experience. And, it's one thing to write something down, to have a procedure written. It's another thing to have a man or woman working in that section of the factory, crafting something. And man, they're good. And so-and-so, man, they're good at that. They're really good. I wonder why they're so good. It's probably because they're not just looking at a list of instructions and following it. They've probably got their own special techniques and this hammer that they really like. That has it's like a ball peen. It's got a certain, and if I hit in a certain area, it's going to form that piece of metal just so. So where I put the whole thing together, that little detail makes a difference. Some of those things could be lost for sure, and it would be very sad, very disappointing. But one thing that could kind of lift your spirits, at least my spirits, is a $20 super chat. Thank you so much for your $20 super chat. This one comes to us from Officially Unofficial. $20. Thank you so much, brother. What's up? What's up, everyone? Everyone won. Sending some good vibes to the incredible Mr. Fox. Happy Sunday. Thank you so much for your $20 super chat, brother. Really do appreciate it. Hope you have a phenomenal weekend. Let's go ahead and you're not going to the pit, but hey, how about this?
Let's go.
KO! Wolverine win!
Rookie.
Yep, I got the same game for Wii. I've got the little gun thing you put the Wii remote into. I've got a couple of those also. It's a great feel, but it would be so cool to have something purposeful. Like, I mean, if you're a fan of arcades, you want something purpose built for the experience. That's what arcades were. That's why they're so cool. Those games, those big cabinets were purpose built to serve that game. So the gun was exactly for that game, right? The whole experience, the cabinet, everything, whether you're sitting down, standing up, whatever, it was purpose built for that experience. And that's what we're missing when you just put everything on the internet. When everything is just, when you're just streaming everything to your Steam box, it's fine. Your Steam Deck, I'm having a great time, but I'm missing something. Sometimes there's a bit of a detachment from the original experience. That's why some of these classic retro games don't always translate well, because you're just missing it. You don't have the steering wheel. You don't have the gun with the feedback, all that stuff. But thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Always appreciate it. Steve, what's going on, buddy? Just surviving the heat, man. Hang in there. I think you're over on the West Coast where it can be a little bit warm. A little bit warm. Are Arcade1up's human-sized cabinets, or are we just Arcade1up sized humans? You're waxing poetic. I'm not exactly sure. Depending on the human, depending on the size, right? Some people were very happy with the peasant cades, the peasant cabinets. You know, they could just kind of sit down and pull up a chair and they were ready to rock and roll. Some of them, once you hit deluxe, man, that was perfect, you know? Some of them, XL was maybe a little bit too big, you know? For guys like me, I was taking a deluxe and putting them up on 4-inch risers. So I don't know. What came first, the chicken or the egg? These are questions that may never be answered, but continue to ask them for sure. There was another Kickstarter that got kicked off, that kick-started, and it was Glenn and his 210% funded. And here are, I wanted to take a look at, obviously, the dollar amount. Congratulations to him. But I wanted to see where the majority of the backers were as far as, like, what are you getting for your money? Because these are big ticket items. So you got $1,000, $1,200, $2,000, all kind of money out there. Where was the majority of the money being spent? The Super Early Bird Special. Now, these screenshots were taken this morning, so you can head on over to the Kickstarter if you want to back either one of these projects. Check it out. 69 people have taken advantage of the $1,000 Super Early Bird Special FU 19-inch edition, so the rotating monitor. Coming in at $1,000. Boom, 69, which is the biggest amount of backers have gone for that one. There are still 31 left as of right now. So if you've been on the fence, you've got 49 days. There's 31 left. Take some time. Check it out. You have to budget for all these things, obviously. And I will say that you're going with someone who has a bit of a track record for quality. Not the fastest thing out there. Sometimes these things take a while to get going, get manufactured, get shipped, and all that. With all the uncertainty, I hope most of that's been put to bed and you can rely on these things getting to you at a reasonable time. That's what I'm hoping, right? So 31 left of those. The one that I was more interested in was the 26-inch version. Only 56 people decided to back that particular product. There are still 44 left of those. So you still have options. There's still some time. The other options are much more expensive. They come with a lot of different accessories, and maybe that's too rich for your blood. I know it was definitely the case for me, but these are the two most popular. There's still plenty of them left, I think. There's still 49 days left. No reason to rush, give it some thought, take your time, plan these purchases out. Like I've always talked about, like there's a lot of great stuff out there, but you need to have your expectations be reasonable, and then also plan these purchases out accordingly. Don't just run and buy everything. I know it's difficult to do sometimes. You get excited about everything. I do too, but we've got to think about it and plan for these purchases. You don't want to get yourself in a bind. Now, I did back the game technology with the Time Crisis. Now that he's fully funded, I can say I did not back the FU cabinet, not because I don't think it's a good product. I just really don't. It doesn't fit in my current setup. So I have some very specific multicades that I have in process. I've got one being built right now. It's going to be a light gun multigate. It's going to be incredible. That's going to take up some space. And then I have another one that I'm going to be building myself that's going to take up some space. I just don't have the room to really add one of these into the collection. Unfortunately, that's sort of the downside of my current setup. But it is what it is. It's no big deal. I don't want to discourage anybody, from jumping in on this, but I didn't personally back it because I just don't have the room, unfortunately. But looks like that's not going to be a problem because Glenn has got it locked down 210%. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty great. It's pretty wonderful. Just like a $2 super chat from Molar Medic. What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for your $2 super chat. Chicken comes from egg. Look at the dictionary. Well, now we know. Now we know. Thank you so much for your $2 super chat, brother. And the science lesson. Very important. Very much. Dr. Torque went full out with the 26-inch and all of the controllers. If you're going to do it right. Nice. Very nice. And I think it's going to be awesome. That's one of the things that I thought about. I was like, man, if I'm going to go all in, if I'm going to spend $1,200, why not spend some more and just go crazy, right? And get all the swappable decks, because that would be incredible. Okay, so that's it for the Kickstarters. And like I said, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're probably going to go a little longer than an hour. Just buckle up. Could be a bumpy ride. Probably not. In case, just grab a drink. Let's move on to the next topic. This is going to be kind of a quick one, but it's something that I noticed and I wanted to talk about because we, for so long, have talked about licensing, exclusivity, and all these things, and why Arcade1up could or couldn't do certain things, make certain cabinets. Because that's what we always said. Hey, make this. Hey, make that. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Licensing seemed to be the thing that was sort of the go-to reason for why they could or couldn't. Just sort of the way that it was. And we had to sort of deal with that. So over the past couple of weeks, we've seen a couple of collections be announced coming to consoles. They kind of flies in the face of what Arcade1up's been doing. Especially now they've been reduced to leaning on what we assumed were their exclusive titles, exclusive licensing to some of these original old titles. Well, you're about to say bye-bye to that, because once you do something like this, it just becomes a question of why would you buy another Mortal Kombat? I don't care who makes it, whether it's Basic Fun or Arcade1up coming out with another one, when they've already made 5 of them. They've already made 5 cabinets of Mortal Kombat. And now we're going to have, what is the killer? This is the killer. This is going to exist. We're moving into a world where you're going to have this as an option to download on every single freaking console out there and to play online. So, this is just one more thing to kind of put the nail in the coffin. The funeral procession is ramping up. The band is beginning to play. Now, what games are we talking about on this? Well, as of today, this is what Wikipedia has for us. Officially, these games supposedly, according to Wikipedia, have been announced. You're going to get Mortal Kombat, the first one, and you're going to get the arcade. Now, this is going to be very reminiscent of the Cowabunga collection. You're going to get the arcade version, the Super NES version, the Genesis version, the Game Boy version, and the Game Gear version of Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 2 is going to get almost everything, except you're not going to get a Game Gear version, because I guess there wasn't one, but you're going to get a 32X version. That's awesome. Mortal Kombat 3 is going to be available in the arcade, Super NES, and Genesis versions. I mean, it's good to have, but it's like once you have the arcade version, why would you bother with anything else? Ultimate Mortal Kombat is going to be available, arcade version, Super NES version. Mortal Kombat 4 is just the arcade version, which is probably the one you really want and need. They're going to throw in some other cool stuff. All of these are going to be Game Boy Advance games. You're going to have Mortal Kombat Advance. You're going to have Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance Advance or Deadly Alliance. Just they didn't have the Advance on there. That was early titles, I guess. And then Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition, all for the GBA, those 3 games. And that's a pretty comprehensive collection if you are a big fan of Mortal Kombat. This is going to be coming. You're going to be able to download it. I personally buy physical media whenever I can. My Switch tends to be my digital download device, but I always get a PlayStation 5 physical copy to play in my PlayStation 5, obviously, because that's the way I roll. I support physical media whenever I can. So that's going to be coming out. Hey, buddy, what's going on? So it's just, it becomes this thing of like, all this illusion of Mortal Kombat kind of being locked down to Arcade1up and nobody else can touch it and all that is something that's like, well, it's kind of being dispelled. I mean, especially if you have some sort of compilation like this, we're going to have the classic versions of this game and all its different variations. You're going to have the history lessons going to be involved in that. It's going to be great to have on every single console out there. And many people will take their consoles, plug them into like a Vuelix or a homemade arcade machine. Or, PlayStation, even they just announced their new arcade stick they're going to be coming out with, their first party arcade stick. And you can just have that experience sitting on your couch on your big TV. I mean, it really it's going to be really tough for Arcade1up to next year or this year come out. Hey, we got another deluxe, another Mortal Kombat. Nobody's going to care if they even have that option. Do they even have that option? Is it completely done? Is it squandered? Well, if you look at the games list, I mean, it includes, all the Mortal Kombats that they've ever had are on this. They're included in this, plus some. We never got Mortal Kombat 4 from Arcade1up, and obviously none of the GBA games. You didn't get the Super NES games and Genesis versions of these games. But remember, that didn't stop the Killer Instinct cabinet from having Battletoads 8-bit and 16-bit. You had the NES versions of that game. So we never even got that with Arcade1up. So how deep was that license? How strong was that bond? Pretty much been shattered. Bill, gaming show, dropped some news last week, I believe. I want to give him the shout out, obviously, because he's the one that kind of found this. Shipping, we're always tracking some of this data, some of this information. Shipping samples for Basic Fun have been shipped to America. And this includes some stuff. But most notably was the Mortal Kombat Arcade Classics. U.S. customer service is going to be a sample. It's going to go around, I guess, for, they're going to show this off to vendors. Now, what we have seen in the past is a very small, and if you go to Walmart right now, you're going to find, you should pretty much in every single store, you're going to be able to find a Pac-Man Arcade Classics is the name, is the specific series that we're talking about right now. And I've seen that in, Walmart's everywhere. They've got Pac-Man. We know other games are coming. We know we're going to have other variants and versions. The WrestleFest, and once again, Bill, thanks so much for uncovering this and sharing this with the community. I appreciate it. We've already seen the WW. It's not F. I don't see an E. WWE. I don't know what the deal is with that anymore. But yes, you're going to have that in an Arcade Classics form factor. I think you're probably going to have everything in the Classics form factor. Now, what ROM is going to be on that device? I don't know. Who freaking knows at this point? Is it going to be an arcade ROM? I don't really know. But this could be just like Arcade1up did when they locked down a license. They came out with different variations of that. So you had countercades and you had 3/4 scale. In some cases, you had XLs. You had the partycades. You had all the stuff, all the variations. Capcom, they blew it up and went everywhere. Obviously, Pac-Man, they've had everything. They've had Pac-Man on everything 4 times over. It's just been crazy. So this could be just more of the same, where this is the first sort of wave of that initial, because they did have a Mortal Kombat handheld back in the day that was incredibly sad, plasticky, crappy. Check P-Dub's Arcade Loft for his review 5 years ago. I think it was a long time ago, 2 years ago. It was a long time ago where he did a review of I mean, you think some of this My Arcade stuff is bad? This stuff looked absolutely like ass. It's horrible. So this could just be, hey, we just got the license. What can we stick the ROM on fast? Oh, here we go. This little Arcade Classics. Okay, let's get that out there first, and then the big cabinets will come. We've already seen the prototypes. Now, prototypes don't necessarily guarantee that we're going to get a full size or a 3/4 scale, but it's a good indication they're at least moving in that direction. Now, if you don't believe me, well, just check out James Hates Everything in his channel. He got his hands on the prototype for the track and field Arcade1up cabinet. And this thing was, complete. It was 100% minus, I think, the splash screen, he said. But you had loading screens. You had all the games installed. The cabinet was done. It was stickered and graphicked up. It was done. And they never made that. So I guess it's possible that we won't see a Mortal Kombat 3/4 scale. But I seriously doubt at this stage of the game, they're just going to live or be satisfied with those little arcade classics. Who knows? We will see. We will see. But definitely another nail in the coffin of Arcade1up for sure. The next one was kind of a surprise, actually, because, Golden Tee has pretty much been a staple with Arcade1up. Not anymore. Not anymore. The specific games list that we've seen on their devices, Shuffle Shot, bowling, those specific games are going to be included in this compilation that's coming out into the year. I think it's October is when this thing's going to be released. Available on PS5 and Switch. What the hell? This is just good. This is exactly what you don't want to see if you're an Arcade1up fan, losing the exact same games list that we had on those cabinets. Now completely gone. Yes, Xbox also. Yes, Xbox as well. The image I found just was of these two game cases. Yeah, and Steam, exactly. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to be everywhere. Consoles, Steam, everywhere. And the same thing with the Mortal Kombat collection. Everywhere. So it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. I wonder how well these would work with the X Arcade stick. Well, I would imagine pretty good. I don't know how that trackball is, but I would imagine that would probably work out pretty well. And once again, that kind of goes back to what I'm talking about. You have products like the X Arcade stick you can plug into a console, and you can get that, you can scratch that itch, right? So this just shocked me because of the fact that it was just the same games. It was they've just branded it as their classics line. It's through Atari. So it's like, we know that Arcade1up and Atari have kind of bad blood at this point, or they don't have a good working relationship anymore. So what happened where, IT decided, Incredible Technology decided, let's just jump over. Let's just have Atari just publish these games for us. And Atari's like, hell yeah, we'll gladly, roll right over Arcade1up and not give two thoughts about it, because we just don't care, because we just don't like them. We've also seen this. Now, this is from a year ago, right? We've seen the Golden Tee line of games sort of begin to leach away from Arcade1up. This wasn't the complete list of games, but it was very close and kind of a niche product, obviously. But these were the first signs of us saying, "Hey, wait a minute, wait, hold on." Is something going on here? Is Arcade1up? That was like the early warning signs. And yes. Why am I so red? I'm so excited about this. Or I was actually outside in the sun for a very long time. Did you get executed by the power? No, I actually did not. But I tell you right now, buddy, put it in my cabinet and it didn't work. And I was sad. But it's just a fuse. So I had to order some fuses from Amazon. Now, when did the fuse blow? I think it blew before I took the power supply out. If it blew after, somebody must have come in and done something, because I know it wasn't me. 19K sizzle for shizzle. Absolutely. So we've seen, like I said, we've seen this go to New Wave Toys. Very much a niche product. The cool partnership with Glenn and the control deck is kind of a good idea. That's the only thing we're kind of missing with this. Not having a trackball is going to just be weird. Right? That's going to be odd not having that trackball, because that is the whole That's the whole that's the controller you got to have. I mean, to do this with a joystick or a button is not going to be the same. So that's the part that's really missing, I think. But beyond that, it's just kind of like I said, another nail in the coffin of Arcade1up. Their entire games lists are just going away. They're just going straight to consoles. I mean, there's no exclusivity anymore. What do they have? Pac-Man is not exclusive to Arcade1up at all. That you can find that on anything, anytime, anywhere, forever. Now we see more comprehensive games lists going out to consoles for Mortal Kombat. Now we've heard rumors and rustlings about the Golden Tee. We've seen it happen with New Wave Toys. Now, once again, all the consoles, PC, everywhere, these games they're making their way out into the ether so that everyone can get it on consoles and gaming devices that they already own. So what would be the point of going to an Arcade1up and getting these things? To buy them again would already be like a slog. Like, we've already done this. Many of you have said, I'm not going to buy another Arcade1up Mortal Kombat unless it's like an XL. They have to do something different. Same thing with Golden Tee, but Golden Tee, they've kind of done all the different ways, right? They've done Golden Tee every which way. And now there's going to be basically no reason. If they were to come out with these, there's basically no reason to buy them. We're running out of reasons to even support the company anyway, with the lack of titles, with the way that they bastardized what they had, reverted back to some god-awful, version, some husk of what they used to be. And it's just not something that I'm interested in supporting. And you can see these are, in my opinion, these are signs that it's pretty much over for any kind of exclusivity with Arcade1up. Bridges have been burned. It's over, man. The party's over. But honestly, the party's been over for quite some time. 19K sizzle. We be sizzling. Okay, real quick, want to continue on with the show. Want to go to the next topic we're going to talk about. Real quick, the NeoGeo and the Data East Super Pockets. Very much what you can expect if you've had a Super Pocket in the past. These things are exactly what you can expect. I did a review on the channel. Go check them out. I'm not a big Data East fan. I know P-Dubs absolutely loves Bad Dudes, so I'm sure he's going to buy probably 4 of these. I think he had some sent to him by Blaze also, but I think he'll probably keep it because he loves Bad Dudes so much. I don't think he'll get rid of any of his Data East Super Pockets, and I get it. That's fine. But I was really more excited about this one, the NeoGeo. Here's the thing, and I don't know that I mentioned this specifically in the review, but some of these games, Burger Time included in this, it's the sprites and everything is so small. This screen is pretty small, right? Only certain games you're going to be able to have a lot of fun with. You really got to squint to make out some of the detail on some of this. It's really kind of small when you're talking about Burger Time. Bad Dudes plays great, so I know P-Dubs will be absolutely fine playing his favorite game, Bad Dudes, on this. The sprites are so much bigger and colorful, and the action is just easier to follow on a small screen. So the NeoGeo version is obviously my favorite of the two. Could be, it's even probably more. I think I would prefer this over the Capcom, which is something I didn't think I would say. Like NeoGeo, really like Capcom, but this, to me, I think it's a better list of games, maybe. I mean, it's not that the Capcom games on the Capcom Super Pocket are bad, but these are pretty good. These are really good eclectic sort of, mix of different games. And the AES styling is really cool. If you want an all-black console, this is probably the one you want to get. And, of course, they're going to be coming out. They've already got 3 announced. 3 NeoGeo cartridges are going to be announced. So you can have a full collection of these. And what's really sad is that companies like Unico have had the NeoGeo license, or they've had some sort of partnership with them. And it's just so sad that they didn't do more with that. And there's a missed opportunity here also. I do have this pre-ordered. I paid money for my version, so that'll be coming in. But then the MVS version looks much better. But it's cool to have both, depending on which NeoGeo cartridge or platform you're nostalgic for. So to be able to have the color schemes of both is definitely a good thing. But, to have the 4 buttons in the NeoGeo layout would have been sick. I know that we weren't going to get that with this because this is the same console. They're just making it. They're just going to reskin it, but it's going to have the same button layout. I would love to see a 4-person or 4-button layout, a proper NeoGeo device. And it's just a shame that, Super Pocket, I kind of knew they wouldn't do it. Would have been cool, but they didn't do it. And Unico just hasn't done it either. So it's just kind of sad. But anyway, check out the video. Let me know what you think about that. If you're a fan of Super Pockets, I know they're kind of small for people with big hands, but NeoGeo for me really kind of, I don't know, it hits you. How does it hit you? If you're a big Atari fan, you probably loved the wood grain version that I do have, and I love that handheld. The games are pretty good too. I mean, there's some of just absolute classics, and I love the wood grain, so I had to get that one. Data East, not so much for me, so I don't mind giving that away because I wasn't going to buy it anyway. But yeah, so the NeoGeo, I think if you're a Data East fan, you'll like it. But this is going to be the one I think that everybody's going to go for next week. Episode 191. We're going to be giving them away, guys. So you got to be here. You got to check it out. See you on that giveaway. Moving on to the next and final topic. Before we do, let's talk about. Let's acknowledge some of the comments here. Newhouse has been some new work. The MVSX was Unico's peak use of the license. I agree. It was good. It was really good. It's a shame that they didn't do more with it. I still have hope. I hope that they will. It would be cool to see a handheld with the 4-button layout, with a bigger screen. I imagine a Super Pocket, but twice the size. So get like a 4 5-inch, 4x3, square. Yeah, probably not going to happen. What they've done recently is, Unico. They've just taken off the shelf handhelds and just put some games on it and said, here you go. And it's just been very lackluster. And I actually have their latest Unico color. I just didn't even want to review it. It's just not, it's sad because I had high hopes, I gave a lot of suggestions. I've told them all the stuff that I'm telling you now. It's just a big pill for them to swallow, I guess. Having to remold and you got to commission a company to actually make a handheld. So you're talking about a custom PCB and you're talking about a custom plastic, shell for this thing. I guess it's just not going to happen. How tall is that Big Red? Asking for friend. I will answer that in the after show for all my members. If you're members of this channel, you're going to be automatically redirected to the after show. We have an after show every single Sunday where I answer extremely specific questions just like this one. So if you're not a member, consider becoming a member. Talking about the last, oh God, I don't know, I may make some enemies on this one. I may make some enemies. You may be mad, but that's okay. That's okay. Because I think the wait might not have been worth it. So the rare pinball tables came out for the 4KP. Much fanfare, much development time. Lots of waiting, wondering, hoping. Oh, here we go. Let me answer this real quick. The Evercade Alpha is cool and all, but do we have to wait for Evercade Sigma to get a 3/4 scale? I'll take the IRM edition with Moon Patrol art, please, and thank you. I just want something at that scale that's going to play their cartridges. Man, I'm telling you, just give us a shell that plays that cartridge. I mean, I would obviously love a little Big Red, or a Big Blue, or some kind of pick a classic. If they could go back to Capcom and do it again, but this time, go 3/4 scale and mimic that big blue, mimic the Big Red of NeoGeo, really go all in. That would be incredible. I'm still waiting for their Alpha. It's going to probably be a Big Red. Are they going to actually take the time to I think that they could easily do the 4-button layout, a 1-player 4-button layout Alpha, roughly in the shape of the Big Red with the little marquee. I think they could do it. I think their first Alpha was in the shape of a Big Blue. Their second Alpha was in the Taito shape. So they've taken the time to make different shaped little Alphas, little countercades. I'm looking forward to that. So I think that will be their next iteration, an Alpha that's shaped more like a Big Red. And then I think knock on wood, I think there's some things that are in development. We could see a 3/4 scale version that will play their cartridges. So who will they partner with? I would assume a big company like Capcom, NeoGeo, maybe Atari, of course Taito, Technos. You can't sleep on those. Technos has a cabinet that they could do, the whole gray black cabinet with the gray side. You could do that. A Data East with a little curved marquee. That would be pretty sick. You could do that. Of course, we've talked about the big blue and big red. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. But we will see. We will see. I was kind of joking about calling it Sigma, but seriously, I agree they need to take the alpha concept to something a little closer to full size. No, well, they can, and I don't think Sigma's a bad name. What the hell? I mean, Sigma's kind of cool. They could go with it, alpha, Sigma, whatever, don't call it beta. Don't do that. Never do that. You don't want to do that. But yeah, so moving on to this. Yeah. So let me start with the positive. I did buy the pack when all the games were when it all came out. I was like, okay, I'll buy this pack now that all 3 games are available to download. I was not going to download a $35 pack that only had 1 table. I just was not going to do it. Not going to do it. Fox, any updates on the rumored Unico Big Blue, Big Red full-size cabinets? They are still rumored at this time. I don't have anything more to confirm, but they are still rumored at this time. I think that they're in development. I can't tell you what stage of development they're in right now. I can confirm that the 30-inch monitor is going to be coming out, because I'm supposed to get my hands on one eventually at some point, and I can check that out. So I know they're making big strides on that. They have redone their 19-inch monitor, so there's been some development on the Phoenix monitor side. But as far as the big cabinets that we've heard something about directly from Unico, nothing yet. I have seen some stuff, but that's been a while ago. I've seen nothing new. So, but as soon as I can talk about it at all, I will let everyone know, because I know everybody's excited about that. Everyone is pumped and excited, just like I'm excited about a $5 super chat. What's going on, Giovanni? Thank you so much for your $5 super chat, brother. Really do appreciate it. Name an arcade game you'd want a home cabinet of that has the most extreme difficulty curve and hasn't been released. Yeah. There's a lot of shmups out there that are just crazy. But I guess so what's the cabinet that has the most extreme difficulty curve? I mean, there's plenty of fighting cabinets out there that have a big difficulty curve. Some people would say that Killer Instinct is hard, but the difficulty is going to be selectable. Honestly, Camco, or not Camco, Camco, Konami cabinets tend to have a pretty high difficulty level. Ninja Gaiden is kind of frustrating. I mean, the console games are rough, and also the arcade games are pretty rough too, as far as that. But they tend to dial that back a little bit because they want to keep munching quarters. So I think probably if you compare them apples to apples, the console version of Ninja Gaiden is going to be more difficult than the arcade version. But still, some of the slowdown is really frustrating. You got to get used to that for sure. And you can notice that with like Double Dragon. But as far as a specific game with such an extreme difficulty curve, it hasn't been released because of that reason. I don't know that I can answer that. I don't know that I can really think. I don't know that I have one in mind that I could point to and say, because it was so difficult, they haven't released it. But it's a very good question. That might be a good poll question to put up on the channel and see if maybe people have different responses. Shmups. I do think shmups and fighters are going to be the ones. Any kind of bullet hell game. I'm a big fan of Raiden. But Radiant Silver Gun is a pretty good one. It's not super hard though. But Dodonpachi can be maybe one of those shmups that you're like, whoa, this is crazy. It can be too hard, too difficult. But I was able to kind of get through some of those games decent. But some of the fighting games are really, really tough. But then really all you got to do is go in there and just drop the difficulty down, and it's very playable. And you can do that, and that can be arcade accurate because all these arcade games had that back end where they could go in and the arcade operator could actually adjust that down. So It's going to be different. I think it's probably going to be different for different people. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat, man. Really do appreciate it. Here you go. So, yeah. Thank you for your question and thank you for your super chat. So, Battletoads, I really don't have an issue with this table. So, the call outs are decent. It's fine. It's not quite as fun as some of the other tables that I have on my 4KP, and everyone knows I'm not the biggest pinball. I'm not a pinball expert, so sometimes when I'm playing a game and I don't like it, I don't necessarily know why I don't like it. I do know that if a table tends to drain the ball, that really pisses me off. That's frustrating. But you got a post in the middle for these games, so that's not necessarily the issue. And the post does move, so it kind of saves you a little bit. So that wasn't the frustration I really had. And as far as Battletoads was, I really didn't have a big issue with it. Wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad. Wasn't that big of a deal. So I was able to kind of move on from that. But and then of course, let's take a quick look at the back glass. These are Magic Pixel games, so the back glass looks really good, very much like the some of the art we saw from the very beginning. If you look at this, this is the original teaser, first look at the table, and then you can look now at the back glass, and it's very much the same artwork. So you kind of knew what you were getting. So I wasn't really disappointed in that. I think I need to play a little bit more. Magic Pixel tables can be kind of, I don't know, man. The ball can be floaty, to say the least. I didn't necessarily notice it on these two tables, but yeah, it is what it is, right? So there's that. And then the biggest disappointment for me, bar none, is going to have to be KI. Now let's just talk about real quick some of the initial advertisements, teasers for this game specifically. Now, in everything we ever saw, minus the purple lightning, we all saw we saw Orchid and we saw Spinal, and those were the classic characters in their classic designs. So that is what I think that reasonable people could have expected to see. We would have seen these characters looking the way they did back in the day, same logo, all that. Okay, so fine. So I was excited to hear all the combos, the call outs from the game. It's kind of known for that. And then you get to this. So right off the bat, let me say, Orchid looks awesome. But there's another, it's maybe an unfair judgment because she's wow. I mean, those thighs are rocking. Looking a little bit more like Chun-Li though than the original art from back in the day. I mean, her hips didn't lie, but these are just speaking the God's honest truth. But there's a bit of a departure, and I don't necessarily know why when this is what we know. When you think about Killer Instinct, KI1, KI2, this is what you're thinking of, right? These are the character models that you're thinking of. And since these character models don't do anything, why wouldn't you just reuse the old art, maybe clean it up a little bit, but reuse those same character models? But you have this, like I said, Orchid looks great, but doesn't necessarily look like Orchid. It almost looks like Orchid cosplay. And DJ Combo doesn't look like necessarily like DJ Combo, but doesn't really stand out as being really, really odd or really off-putting or really out there. The thing that gets me is Jago. I don't know what the hell. I don't know. I find it hard to find the words to really describe what I'm even seeing. Like that just looks like some weird like anime version. It looks like some kind of fan fiction, fan art. It looks like they took Ryu from Street Fighter, or like some kind of a cheap imitation drawing of like Bruce Lee and just put a COVID mask on him and he's good to go. I don't like this at all. Like his body type isn't quite the same. He looks like an Abercrombie and Finch freaking underwear model. with his cute little eyes, like, ooh, look at me, I got a sword. It's a big sword. I don't like that at all. It's the worst part of the whole thing. It's just really bad. And you have to look at it the whole damn game because it's just right there. This is what you're looking at. You have this, which is not bad. It's got the attitude of Battletoads, and I have no problem with that. And then you have this. Why? What did you do? And then the call outs, that's not from the game. That's an impression. That's not the original call outs from they didn't rip that from the game, and I don't know why. And there's things being said that aren't said in the game. And I don't know why. And I also don't know why you only have two characters that are up top, like fighting. You're making them fight each other. And it's Kim Woo and Jago. Jago, okay, I get, but why wouldn't that be DJ Combo if that's the backlash? Why not freaking Fulgore, who's much more iconic than DJ Combo? I mean, if you're gonna right now, if you're gonna rattle off three characters from Killer Instinct, the first three, what's it gonna be? It's gonna be Jago. Cinder, Spinal, Saberwolf, Fulgore, Orchid. She's the hot chick of the first game, and I get it. Okay, so maybe she's in there too. Is DJ Combo really going to be there? Glacius. Maybe Glacius would have been really cool. Think about that. But I don't know why they just, first of all, why limit yourself to those three? It's a virtual pinball table. Why can't these characters be changed and swapped out? And maybe that's the case. Maybe you start with Kim Woo and work your way up. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in the game because the game sucks. Like, I don't like that table at all. It's just not, and I'm going to spend more time with it, and I'm going to keep working at it. I'm trying to figure it out because I do want to keep going, but I don't like the artwork. I don't really like the table setup, and I don't know why you radically change the characters. Why would you do, these are static, especially the playfield. It's a static image of Orchid. Why not just go with that? Why remake it? Was that part of your licensing agreement, the rights? This had to be some Killer Instinct interpretation? Did you just get the logo, but you had to create every other asset yourself? If that's it, well, I guess it is what it is, right? I understand you're kind of in a bad position, but it becomes something of a question of, okay, if I put a Lamborghini sticker on my Ford Focus, okay, and let's say it's officially licensed. Let's say it's an officially licensed Lamborghini logo on your Ford Focus. It's still a Ford Focus. It doesn't look like a Lambo. It doesn't drive like a Lambo. It doesn't sound like a Lambo. No scissor doors, nothing, right? Well, of course, new Lamborghinis don't have scissor doors either. That's another topic for another day. But it just doesn't make it. I don't like the way that this was executed at all. And it makes you wonder, why bother? You get the rare license. What did you get? Just the name? And did you have to make everything else up? That's what I don't get. Meatball Sausage says, yeah, AtGames need to stop buying arcade IPs and contracting Magic Pixel to ruin good IP with poorly designed pinball. Yeah, I just don't, the tables, maybe they should just be, maybe I'm a simple player and I just need a simple table. I don't know. I don't get it. Why could you have had all the character models flank, everybody, like the whole playfield you could have all the characters in 3D models, just cheering you on or reacting to something you're doing on the table, and I don't know. I haven't played the game. I haven't gotten far enough in it, but are you Jago? Like on the playfield, you have Jago and what's her name? Kim Woo. So which are you? So do you defeat her if you're Jago and then there's a new, you fight somebody else? Does that happen? Maybe it does. I don't really know. An American Lamborghini, Amerigombolini. I don't know I don't know. Americambellini. Sure. We'll go with that. So Battletoads is fine, but to me, it's not as iconic. Like the call outs and stuff, they're not as iconic. as Killer Instinct. They really needed to nail the Killer Instinct vibe. And for me, I just don't think they did. I really don't. I don't think that they did it. It feels off. I did a YouTube short where I said it feels like the Timu freaking Killer Instinct. It feels like it's not quite right. Like everything's off just a little bit. The colors, the call outs, things are just not, they don't quite line up. And so I don't know what they were thinking there, but I was really disappointed. Now, $35 isn't terrible. I mean, it's I would, of course, I want to spend less money. I don't want to spend a lot of money. I love to spend less money. But so the money really isn't necessarily the gripe that I have. The gripe is just that it's just an IP that I just don't get. I don't see it. It didn't necessarily need a pinball iteration. It didn't need a pinball version to make people, I don't know. I mean, it's, if they were trying to sell another pinball machine, a physical product, and they really needed a solid, rock solid IP to sell that, maybe I could see them doing this. But I just don't know, like, what was the point of this? It like, and if you play it, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't feel right. They're saying stuff in the game, the call outs, they just don't like you. That was never said in the actual game that I played in the arcades. It didn't say that. What's the one thing it says? Not test your might. Test your might would be Mortal Kombat, but it says something else. And I'm just like, what? I would rather hear call outs of the characters' names, but from the original audio of the game. Saber Wolf, something, that stuff is really cool. The combos are good. I like when they say the combos. But overall, I didn't like it. Couldn't tell you. Who knows? Magic Pixel should actually listen to customers before making any new pin. Yeah, did they even ask customers? Because I don't know that they did. They should have. You're absolutely right that somebody should have asked something. How well do KI and Battletoads compare to the Sea of Thieves table? I'd rather play the Sea of Thieves table. I mean, I think the worst is KI. Sea of Thieves is pretty good. I mean, it's not bad, right? I also liked what was it? Kung Fu, the Magic Pixels Kung Fu. Crap. What's that? No, Black Belt. That one? I can't remember the names of these things. The Kung Fu inspired Black Belt Magic Pixel table was pretty fun. I like that. Some people didn't. I thought that was fun. But no, I think I'll just play Sea of Thieves, which is just weird because the other two games were in more development. We had to wait longer for those. I don't know. I don't get it. I haven't bought this pack because I only want Battletoads. I'm not paying $35 for it. And you won't be. You're not missing anything. You're not really missing anything. It's not like some gotta have. In my humble opinion, they bought the IP for the 4K arcade machine, decided it was a giant waste of time, and now the pinball table is trying to salvage the money. That's not a bad take. I think it's probably a pretty good take, actually. If they're not going to make, you're right. They probably bought it for the arcade machine that they didn't make. They didn't make the 4K. So what do they do now? Well, we got to make a table out of it, right? Which is a damn shame because it would have been. I mean, a system seller would have been, more Killer Instinct and like the new versions as well as the old versions on their machine. That would have been awesome. Sadly, that just didn't happen. Never gonna happen. GeForce guy, what's going on? You should stream Mario Kart World. I bet it would be a great stream. I plan on doing that. Yes, I do. Everyone did it. Just do it. It's fun. Well, if everyone else did it, I should do it too. That has never had a downside. That kind of advice never steered anybody wrong. Allegedly. Anyway, those are just, that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's kind of where I'm at. Buyer beware on those tables. I don't think they're the worst thing in the world, but I just don't think that they're worth the money. I didn't like them. And well, I guess, it is what it is, right? Would you look at that?
What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up.
Unfortunately, it is that time to go ahead and wrap it up. Members, stay right here. You're going to be automatically redirected to the members only after show. The after show is just for the members. If you want to become a member, click the button down there. I'm sure there's a button down there that says join, And become a member. It's only $5 a month. There's only one tier. No problem. You're going to get access to all the after shows and special messages and updates that I only send to my messengers or my members, because my members are very special to me. But before we go, we're going to talk about the poll question. Pretty quick, kind of a wrapping it up kind of thing. 112 votes. Wanted to get caught up on what everybody thought of the news, the lack thereof. The question was, what has been your favorite home arcade news this summer? I'm going to go ahead and end the poll right now. Thank you so much, everybody who took the time to vote in the poll question. Coming in the number 4 spot, let me go ahead and click this just 1 second. And boom, there we go. Coming in the number 4 spot is Battletoads. KI and Battletoads in the 4KP with 4% of the vote. Not too many people were excited about that. Could just be not too many people have an AtGames 4KP or an AtGames pinball table at all. Coming in number 3 spot is actually the Mortal Kombat Golden Tee collection with only 12% of the vote. I thought that would be a little bit higher. So who takes home the gold? I don't think there's any shock here that GRS being fully funded. Glenn with 57% of the vote. That was the best, your favorite news of the summer so far. And then Basic Fun obviously coming, rounding all that out with 25% of the vote. Everybody, thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. I'm glad to be back. And yeah, have a great week. Don't work too hard. Recover from all your 4th of July shenanigans. And I will see you all right back here next time. Peace.